Welcome to Lesson 3 of Section 9 of the BJCP training program from the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. We're continuing our look at the brewing ingredient hops. We are on to Lesson 3, and this lesson is going to focus on the bitterness from hops. Let's start off with how much bitterness we have in a beer from hops. And how do we know that? The most common way bitterness is measured in beer is in international bittering units. IBU is the measurement of the concentration of isomerized alpha acids present in a finished beer. It can be expressed in milligrams per liter or parts per million. The relationship between hops used and the IBU level isn't as cut and dry as 1 ounce equals X amount of IBUs. There are several factors that affect the IBU levels. Right now, we're looking at a list of things that affect IBU levels: length of boil, wort gravity, vigor of the boil, wort pH, age and condition of the hops, the hop form, are they whole hops, plug hops, pellets, and the amount of hops that we use in the process. Even knowing these factors when brewing our beer, the IBU level doesn't necessarily translate directly to the perceived bitterness of the beer. Perceived bitterness is affected by the brewing water, particularly by the carbonate levels and the sulfate levels. Bitterness perception is also affected by the degree of attenuation of the beer, and by attenuation, we mean the amount of sugars that have been converted into alcohol. The IBU levels expected for a given style of beer varies from style to style. We will be asked about those particular bitterness levels of a specific style of beer in our entrance exam, but luckily they are extremely easy to find in the beer style guidelines. And as another reminder, yet again, the entrance exam is an open book exam. Here's a couple of examples on the screen just to remind you what that section of the guideline looks like and what you'll need to refer to when you get those questions. It's worth mentioning that while you're extremely likely to get questions related to a beer style's particular IBU range, you're equally likely to get a question comparing the similarities or differences of IBU ranges between two styles. So this likely doubles your chances of getting questions about these specific numbers. So again, worth having the guidelines on hand for your exam and knowing how to find this information quickly and efficiently. Hops are added at different points of the brewing process. There's really no time during the boil that you can't add hops. Now, when and what time of the boil is generally based on what you're trying to add. Are you trying to add bitterness, flavor, or aroma with this hop addition? Bittering hops are usually added in the 90 to 60 minute range of the boil to get the most efficiency from the isoalpha isomerization. Hops added in the 40 to 10 minute range of the boil are often added for flavor, giving this addition the commonly referred to term as flavor hop additions. Flavor hops contribute less bitterness, but they do retain some essential oils that lend to the characteristic flavors that the particular variety hop being used provides. Hops added near the end of the boil provide mostly aroma character, though they do contribute slightly to flavor, but nearly no bitterness, if any. Hops added during or after fermentation are typically called dry hops and add a fresh hop aroma to the finished beer. Now, hops do have a specific susceptibility to lending to off flavors, particularly if the beer gets oxidized. The bitterness and aroma can become muted and produce a bit of a harsh edge to the flavor component. We just covered the hop additions in the boil phase of brewing and dry hopping during the fermentation process. There's one more technique in our exam to cover that takes place between phases, specifically between the mashing and boiling phase, and that's called first wort hopping. This is the process of adding an addition of hops to the boil kettle the moment the sweet wort is being transferred to the boil kettle from the lautering process. At this point in the process, the pH of the wort is higher than when it's being boiled and thought to extract some of the finer hop flavors. They're left in throughout the entire boil, which contributes to a more refined bitterness. This is a technique taken from old German brewing methods that were developed for brewing hop-centered German beer styles like Pilsners. We are almost done covering what we need to know for our entrance exam about the brewing ingredient hops. We're going to finish up this section in the next lesson, so let's head on over there now.